Fantasy Footballers Sunday Live.
Welcome in. It's the playoffs. Hopefully it's your semifinals. I know some of you play in week 17 matchups. It's not your semifinals, and that's stupid, but we're here for all the people. And this is a big morning. Whoa, there's breaking news. We will get into what we call a big picture.
The big picture.
See? I told you we call it. Here's the big picture. There's bad news. There's good news. Here's the good news. No big weather problems. A couple of chilly games. That'll probably be good for the Yeti. Derrick Henry, the transformation is complete. Here's the bad news. Lots of inactives. We'll go through that right now, but we're gonna make that into good news. We're gonna make lemonade out of this lemon juice salad, and we're gonna pick up Tony Pollard and play him because the big news of the morning is Ezekiel Elliott, surprise inactive. I mean, we knew he was dealing with the calf problem, and he's obviously not looked great, and yada yada yada. But everything McCarthy said all week was, oh, he's fine, he's gonna play, and he does not appear like he's going to play. So. In fact, he's not going to play because he's inactive. So the big question is Tony Pollard. What are we going to do with Tony Pollard? And I would say in most situations when you've got a flex option that you've been toiling with, this guy or that guy, that's the option where you go, hey, Tony Pollard now. It's not the best matchup in the world against 49ers, but they're not the defense of yesteryear. And the reality is he's the lone guy there. He's going to get all the work, all the volume. He's looked electric. It can backfire, right? Remember when Alexander Mattison was the hotness when Dalvin Cook missed a week. He had a great matchup, didn't do much. But I do believe that this will be Tony Pollard's time to shine. So let's go through some of the other inactives, catch you up. Matthew Stafford is in the lineup, not inactive. That was a little bit of a surprise. He's got a smash matchup. I don't know if you want to rely on an injured guy, but this is great news for Marvin Jones, great news for DeAndre Swift, and it's even great news for Ryan Tannehill and the other side of the ball because now the Lions should be able to keep up with the Titans. I expect a lot of points there. Drew Brees is also in. They knew Monday he was going to play, so that's great news for Michael Thomas. Oh, wait. This just in, Michael Thomas not active, so that's going to be really interesting against the Kansas City Chiefs. You've got Jared Cook. Jared Cook should be a fine play. You might be able to throw in Manny Sanders, but the big beneficiary here is Alvin Kamara. We should get Super Camario this week. Alex Smith out. Daniel Jones is also out. And Brandon Allen is out. So everyone relying on Brandon Allen or what this really means is this is good news because if you thought, oh, I should be playing Tyler Boyd or T. Higgins, you shouldn't have been, and now you really can have that decision made for you. At the running back position, we know Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott, they are out. Antonio Gibson also out. Damian Harris out. So now Sony Michel, James White, get the bump up. We'll talk a lot about that Dolphins game, I am sure. Sony Michel's the one I want. But Sony Michel is the right call there. James White is in. He'll be active, but I expect the New England Patriots to be winning that game. Raheem Mostert is in. That's a little sad for my name is Jeff Wilson Jr. James Conner is questionable. He's the Monday night game. Look, you got to pivot off of James Conner. The reality is he looked like trash. He's bad. It's a good matchup, but it's a Monday night game where he's expected to play. I would definitely be. Here's a perfect example. Tony Pollard. Grab him, put him in your lineup ahead of James Conner. Ronald Jones is out. Leonard Fournette went from inactive to the starter. I'm not starting him, but you can if you want. Salvon Ahmed is in. Duke Johnson is out while David Johnson is in. I think David Johnson is a good play. You don't realize how often David Johnson has been an RB2 or an RB1 this season. All but 3 games that he's played in, he's been okay. Chase Edmonds is expected to play. I know a lot of Kenyon Drake managers were kind of hoping he was out, but he should be in. Rashad Penny. Remember him, Brooks?
Yeah, a little bit.
I loved Rashad Penny, like when he had knees. So we'll see. Hopefully he can do something with his career. All right, at wide receiver, you got Michael Thomas out. Brandon Cooks is in and active. But here's the other big news. I feel like this is you got the Zeke big news, and then you got the Dolphins big news. There's no Dolphins in tonight's game. That's the big news. There's no Devontae Parker. There's no Jakeem Grant. So that means Mike Gesicki should no Mike Gesicki. Okay. No Tua in your lineup. I was not going to start Tua anyways because Bill Belichick and rookie quarterbacks is not a fun experiment. But Lynn Bowden Jr., if you're in a PPR league, should be the primary beneficiary. You'll also see some dump-offs to the running back position. So if you're in a pinch, Salvin Ahmed, maybe. I don't want to do it. I expect them to be trailing. This is why I said Sony is probably the guy I want over James White. All right, where are we? We've got the great wide receivers that are all out. Julio Jones, Kenny Golladay, Deebo Samuel, Julian Edelman, all out. Here's good news. Marquise Hollywood Brown and Miles Boykin, who went on the COVID IR as close contacts, they're in. They were able to come off in time. Jamison Crowder is expected to play in the afternoon game. I don't care. Kittle is not active. Gesicki's not active. Evan Ingram should play. Kyle Rudolph is out. That's great news for Big Irv. I think Big Irv Smith Jr. is weird to be big and a junior, right? Big Junior? What oxymoron? But I think he's a good play. And for some reason, Brooks put on here that Jimmy Graham is in. Okay, I care about that. He's not. Jimmy Graham's not hot right now.
Would Cole Kmet be a better start if Jimmy Graham was out?
That's fair. You know what Cole Kmet would be? He'd be so hot right now.
He's so hot right now.
Oh, man, that's a professional transition. Brooks, who's hot right now?
So number one, of course, is Jeff Wilson.
My name is Jeff.
And I think you kind of answered this one. You'd be playing Tony Pollard over My Name is Jeff, right?
I would be. Because Raheem Mostert is in the lineup, I mean, look, I like both plays. I think Jeff Wilson should be fine. Tony Pollard should be fine. Neither one I expect to be some top 12 performance. But they're both solid. And if I had to pick one of them, I'm going to pick the guy who's all alone in the backfield versus someone splitting carries with, look, Raheem Mostert has been disappointing the last couple of weeks, but if he takes, a ball 80 yards to the end zone like he's known to do, that drive is over for Jeff Wilson. So I'm going that way. Who else you got out there?
Now, Jason, if you have both Raheem and Jeff Wilson.
Oh.
What you doing? That's number one. Start
Okay,
sit on the website.
It's too early for hard questions. Do the softballs. If I had Mostert and My Name is Jeff, I'm going to fall into the process trap that got me in trouble last week. I still believe it. I'm taking talent. Oh, but he's injured. They're playing him. Raheem Mostert is the more talented guy. Jeff Wilson is getting the goal line opportunities. That's tough. Help me. Jeff Wilson and Mostert. Who would you play, Brooks?
Probably Raheem.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's what that was the advice I gave last week is when you're in those tough situations, go with the more talented player if it's a coin flip. And Raheem Mostert is the more talented player. So, Brooks, you've convinced me. All right. Any other super easy ones?
All right. We'll see. Jeff Wilson or Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the Saints.
I know the matchup isn't good, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been pretty good. He had the kind of weird stretch where he wasn't used as much as he wanted, and then he missed the game. But he's actually been getting a ton of volume. It's funny because he's like coming out and he's not the starter, but then he gets all of the work. So I'm gonna go with Clyde and the Chiefs' offense there.
All right. How about David Johnson or Jeff Wilson?
I don't know why I like David Johnson so much right now, but I do. I don't think David Johnson is, a smash play. I don't think any of these guys are absolute smash plays. But David Johnson has just been all reliable. So I'm going to throw I've got them back-to-back in my rankings, but I've got David Johnson one spot ahead. So I was not lying.
All right, last one is a very specific start-sit question between two players that's very high on the start-sit list on the website. Scary Terry or T.Y. Houston?
Oh, that one I think is pretty easy for me. Thank you for the softball there. I'm going T.Y. Houston. Look, when T.Y. Hilton plays against Houston, he has career days every single time. That's a weird narrative-y thing, But it's like usually when there's one of those, like with on the other side of the ball, Kiki Colts. Kiki QT has great games against Colts. There's a 3-game sample size there. He's had 3 great games against the Colts. T.Y. Hilton has done it for an entire career in division. So, yeah, I'm playing T.Y. Houston in that one. Any others?
Let's go to the people.
We're going to the people already? Oh, eat it, Mike. Do you get to the people this early? I do.
Stardom, set 'em.
Drinking this highball, I feel all jacked up. Ride the snake. Not a sponsor. There you go. Just mash them all, Brooks. Put all of them in there. I want to take 1 second and thank the sponsor. Pristine Auction is helping us put this thing on. They're incredible. You see that shoe right there? That's a Josh Allen signed cleat. It's awesome. We got it from Pristine Auction. If you could, excellent. You got DeAndre Hopkins jersey. You can see like the little corner of it there. That's signed. Pristine Auction. And more importantly, we are giving away thousands and thousands of dollars worth of, like right now this weekend, we're giving away thousands of dollars worth of signed gear. We got Alvin Kamara jerseys, cleats, mini helmets. It's amazing on our YouTube, and this is still going on. We haven't picked all the winners, so when you're done with this video, go over to, you're already on our YouTube channel maybe, or our socials at least. Go to our YouTube, look up the Christmas giveaway we are doing, put your comment in there, and you could win tons of stuff. And then if you don't, just go to Pristine Auction. Use the code BALLERS when you go. You'll get $10 for free on if you win any bid. $10 off. So that's awesome. We love Pristine Auction. All right, to the people I go. First question, you're going to win a signed Jason Moore answer here. Manny Sanders or Tony Pollard, asks Michael Mendez. Tony Pollard. That would be my answer. I think the workload is just more guaranteed. Now, Manny Sanders is a good pinch play. If you're in a pickle and you're saying, man, I'm really scratching and clawing, and Manny is on the waivers, I think he's a decent flex option with Michael Thomas out and Drew Brees in. But if the ball goes a different direction than Manny and it's a Treyquan Smith week, then what are you going to do? The ball can't go a different direction than Tony Pollard. He could suck, but Tony Pollard's going to touch the ball 15, 20 times, and that's what I want. Brooks, how do you feel as a Cowboys fan with Zeke being out?
Oh, I'm excited to see Pollard, honestly.
You're excited. As I asked the question, I realized that if I was a Cowboys fan, I would not care at all. Just, like about life or anything. All right, next question. Oliver, Breeze or Hurst? So you got Jalen Hurts. I think he said Hurst, but I can't imagine it's Hayden Hurst. Or I would go Breeze over Hayden Hurst. Would you, Brooks?
Yeah, good call, Jay.
Okay, but Jalen Hurts, I would rather start than Drew Brees without Michael Thomas. Drew Brees could easily go out, throw 3 touchdowns. Jared Kuick have a big – it's against Kansas City Chiefs. He's going to have to keep up. And so I understand that. But the baseline and the rushing volume – what if Brees gets smashed again? What if he gets sacked on his 11 broken ribs and leaves the game, and then you end up with a 0? So I'm going with the rushing baseline against the Cardinals, who play a ton of man defense. He should be able to run all over the Cardinals. Let's see. I was waiting for Brooks to give me the next question, and then I realized I'm the captain now. I've never seen that, and that's a shame because I love Tom Hanks. He's like one of my faves. All right, here we go. The next, okay, Rome Grown says, my name is Clyde. Okay. Yeah, I thought, and here I was thinking it was Rome. All right, Kyle Matta, Rivers or Big Ben in a 4 points per touchdown league. I could tell you what my colleagues would say. They would say Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is in a smash play against Houston. It looks wonderful. I get it. I won't be doing it because I've got a personal problem with P. River. You know how we always say as analysts, like you've got to remove your personal feelings, your hometown bias, your whatever happened. You got to stay water. You can't let things stick. I'm not taking that advice. I am not taking that advice from myself. P. River hurt me too much in years past to ever be started again. So I'm going Big Ben. And you could do that with me, or you could make the decision that my colleagues would say based on analytics. Ridiculous. All right, Pat Halligan wants to know Wilson or Bowden. I'm going to assume this is Jeff Wilson. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Wilson, Jeff Wilson, my name is Jeff, or Lynn Bowden Jr. For the purposes of this question, I'm going to assume it's PPR, because I think that's where you would have this decision. You'd be saying, I get a point every time someone catches the ball. I'm gonna go Lynn Bowden. I mean, what did he have, like 7 receptions last week? And now you've got literally no targets there. I think Lynn Bowden should, in a PPR league, have a safe floor, and he's got enough athleticism to where, if yards after catch could be there for him. I expect all of his catches to be about 4 yards away from the line of scrimmage on a slant. That's kind of the only thing Tua throws, unless you're near the end zone, and then he throws it at the back of the defender on the left side over and over and over. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Lynn Bowden Jr. there. All right, let's get another question. You get your question answered if your name is Flashatronic. Flashatronic wants to know Ahmed or Fournette. Okay. We're diving deep. We're getting inside the dumpster and saying, do I want this lettuce or the apple? They're both rotten. Which one would I like? Oh, man. I really don't like this because I don't like either player. You've got PPR upside for either. Again, Ahmed could end up with a ton of dump-offs, have a good game. But Brady does utilize or try to utilize Leonard Fournette in the passing game. I'm going to go Leonard Fournette here. It's not guaranteed that it's Ahmed's role. You could have DeAndre Washington splitting, have him run ahead. We don't know the exact health, and I don't expect good things and a lot of points for the Dolphins. So for those reasons, I'm going to trust Tom Brady over Tua and go that direction. All right. I was going to ask Brooks for a name. I was going to say, give me a name, like Roger. And then I was going to find a Roger in this chat. That would be impossible. That would literally be – this chat's just flying by. Let me see if I can find a Roger. Roger. Oh, I can search on this. Boo-doo-doo. There is no Roger in this chat. I guess we are under the age of 60 as our core audience. So no Rogers here today. Let's instead go with Dylan Gray. Wants to know Goff or Hurts. I'm gonna go Hurts there. Goff could very easily have a much bigger game. I mean, the matchup against the Jets has resulted in a top 10 performance, 7 straight weeks against them at the quarterback position. I like Goff. I would play Goff in general. But Goff also has the floor that is all of the touchdowns are run it. Cam Akers has a monster game, and, it could go that way where the floor for Jalen Hurts is I run the ball a lot. I'm a quarterback. Scoring is broken for that position. It is. Can I let you in on a secret, Brooks?
Sure.
So you know how I hate that quarterbacks get a point for 10 rushing yards but 25 passing yards, because in the NFL, it doesn't make a difference. You get whatever yards you get. You know that?
Yeah.
So I went through and I calculated, this was late last year, what the difference in rankings would be between if you scored my way. It was like nothing. It was really surprising how little a difference it made. All it did was nerf the high upside of Lamar Jackson last year. I hate that I had to admit that. And also, Foot Clan, I want you to know I'm here for you today, battling through an eyelash all show. This eye is this is just toast. Anyways, next question. Fournette or Carson? I'm going to go Carson there. Mostert or Amari Cooper? Wants to know Logan Morrow. That the question comes from Mostert or Amari Cooper, and Logan Morrow is the question. I would go Logan Morrow, but it's Amari Cooper. Mostert is injured, and Amari Cooper's the clear one there. My man, yeah, you're on your game this week, Brooks. Last week, pile of poop. He was distracted by his mounds of money that Brooks has. He was counting stacks last week. This week, he's like, I'm going to help Jason a little bit. I'm going to smash these buttons. All right. Mr. Roger, Father Curtis says, I'll bet he did that to get found in the Roger. That's smart. I like Mr. Curtis. And now I've lost this question. Sorry. Just kidding. It's right here. Kareem Hunt or Jeff Wilson in a half PPR league. Again, this goes back to kind of the Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert situation. The 49ers have such a great matchup for running the ball. Jeff Wilson is great, but I'm taking the talent. I'm taking the talent of Kareem Hunt. I mean, there's, either guy could have 2 touchdowns, but if I had to bet my house on one of them having it, it would be Kareem Hunt just because of the fact that it's very, very hard to tackle that guy. All right, Mr. Zeus 4725 says Pollard or Drake in a PPR league. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about Pollard, picking him up, starting him, putting him in over certain options. Kenyon Drake is not an option that I'm going to put behind Tony Pollard. Kenyon Drake's actually been really, really solid for fantasy since week 3. I want to say he was the running back 6 or 8. He's definitely a top 10 running back since week 3. It got off to such a slow start that I think it was like, oh, Kenyon Drake's a bust. We all knew it. We told you. And then it's like, well, he's been really, really good. Uninspiring. You watch the games and you're like, he could do so much more. And you're disappointed. I'm disappointed. Every single week I'm disappointed in Kenyon Drake. But it's like, I mean, he was fine for fantasy. I'm disappointed in him as a man. That's sad. That's sad. Mr. Padilla, DK or McSorin? You don't get a lot of DK questions. I'm going to go McSorin since you asked. Because, no, it's DK Metcalf. You got to, every wide receiver in the history of football has down stretches, except for Jerry Rice. We were looking at his numbers. Dude was like 40 years old. Or he was in his late 30s putting up 1,000-yard seasons. Jerry Rice could be great today. All right, let's see here. Godwin or Pollard? That's an interesting one, so I'm going to assume full PPR here. Godwin, I think, has just such a great matchup. Is that Andy's start of the week, or is it his taking it to 100? It was Andy's something.
I think it's taking it 100.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Chris Godwin there against Atlanta. I still don't think that the running game will be great for Atlanta. And Tom Brady should be able to throw it all over the Falcons' secondary. I wish Julio was there so that the Falcons could keep up. But Matt Ryan, man, he stinks. He stinks without Julio. All right, how many more questions do we have? We got time for how many more, Brooks?
Grab a few more.
That's not a number. All right, Stony Card Company. You think about the number after this. I'm going to come back to you. I know I threw you on the spot. It's hard to think of numbers. So I'm going to give you time. Treyquan or the Lizard King? Wow. I have not had a question about Sammy Watkins, the Lizard King, in a long time. And the reason... the reason I haven't had those questions is because he stinks and doesn't ever do good things for fantasy. So I'm not gonna go him. I'm gonna go Treyquan Smith. I think Treyquan's. We talked about Emmanuel Sanders. Good flex pickup. You could play him, but I would say it's 50-50 as to who the number one wide receiver is going to be against the Chiefs. Manny Sanders or Treyquan Smith. And Treyquan Smith is younger. I feel like he's been more relevant recently. So put me on the spot. Treyquan Smith or Emmanuel Sanders? I still am going to go Manny, because I think the route running and the efficiency and the way Drew Brees plays. But, yeah, that's close. Who would you go, Brooks?
Manny Sanders.
All right, and how many questions do we have left?
2 more.
Oh, a number. I like it. Okay, let's go to Zach Donato, Mr. Rogers or Bob Ross. We'll go 2 more after this, but it's definitely Bob Ross. I know Mr. Rogers, great guy. I never watched it. I have severe ADHD, if you can't tell. I can't watch that show. Bob Ross at least is like I can get lost in the woods. I'm not getting lost in like a guy putting on a sweater and tying his loafers. What are loafers? Does he have loafers or is those? I literally don't know what a loafer is. I said, what is a loafer? That's like a big fat dude, right? They call me loafer. All right. 2 more questions after I find out what a loafer is. Okay. A loafer is a leather shoe shaped like a moccasin. Okay, so it's a low flat heel. Those are not what Mr. Rogers had. Also, literally, not joking, that was the definition 2 for loafer, according to Google. Definition 1 is a person who idles time away. I'm a loafer. All right, second to last question, Wayne Gallman or Hollywood? Look, Hollywood's had a touchdown in 3 straight games. He's coming on hot at the end of the season, and it is Wayne Gallman here. Wayne Gallman had a down week, but he's actually been really solid, and I think we stay with Wayne Gallman. I believe that the offense is actually better with Colt McCoy than with a hobbled Daniel Jones. Now that is worse than a healthy Daniel Jones. But if Daniel Jones was still out there, not able to move like last week, Gallman couldn't do anything because the offense couldn't do anything. I'm not off of Wayne Gallman based on one performance with a hobbled quarterback. And the last question, it's going to be yours. I know you're sitting here watching like, well, not mine. It's not going to be me. But seriously, it is you, Pat Kimmich. How good does it feel to be Pat? It's like, oh my gosh, he was talking to me. Gus Bus or Lynn Bowden? That's a great final question. We didn't really talk. I kind of glossed over it in the big picture, but Mark Ingram is inactive. The matchup is phenomenal. That's why J.K. Dobbins is my start of the week. I think Gus Edwards could very well also have a good game. His utilization hasn't really been there, like 10 touches or fewer in several games, and then he ends up with great fantasy output because he's been great around the goal line. Lynn Bowden will have a higher PPR floor. I expect him to have a lot of targets. Could have a good game. If it's standard, I would go Gus Bus. But I do think that the opportunities to score are going to be few for the Miami Dolphins. So I think I'm going to go Gus Bus over Lynn Bowden. But if it's full PPR, you can make the case. It's really one of those, like, if it's a pretty even matchup and you just don't want a bad performance, Lynn Bowden in a full PPR should at least give you some kind of baseline there. Wow, we did it. I hope we answered enough of your questions. If not, all the start sit tools, our rankings, which I'm going to go right now and polish up and publish, are on the website, fantasyfootballers.com. Don't forget about our giveaway video. Check it out. Post your comments. Get thousands of dollars from Pristine Auction or thousands of dollars of value. And crush it this week in fantasy, in your playoffs. Have a good one.